the original Grindr.
Yeah.
The film marketplace section would have ads from bachelors seeking other bachelors.
This is what I was talking about.
There's people from the military. There's several where it says so kind of sailor looking for others. Things that are a bit more kinky as well. Young man seeks employment, willing to consider anything.
Well, it sounds like your CV.
I was able to speak to people that were involved in the magazine, and the publisher, editors, pretty much the entire editorial staff was gay. And they intended the magazine to be very gay slanted, even though it was also a mainstream magazine, important film magazine that you could buy at W.H. Smith. But you could read it on the tube, at least until they started putting naked men on the cover in the 70s. But in the 50s and 60s, you could read it on the tube. And
was it similar, like, illustrations to the other one where it... Like
No, it was real life images, wasn't it?
It was real life images, stills from films.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Gay
Men on the
personals.
beach with, like,
Oh,
speedos
I
on.
see.
Yeah.
It really gave me Abercrombie. Like when I saw that, I was like, this really. I mean, I know like they're not good to talk about, but they really gave that sexy male, but very much like, who is this actually catered for?
Yeah,
or,
it
like,
could be either.
It gave that vibe,
Yeah.
where you know kind of thing.
Okay.
The vibe was definitely cis gay man. Yeah, absolutely. And whenever there was a film that had, whatever the film's topic was, if there was a scene where some attractive guy had his shirt off, that's what they'd use for the review.
Yeah.
I've argued that it ultimately is the first mainstream gay magazine in the UK. Even though many people bought it without having a clue.
Yeah, you see that.
Because they had really important film reviewers and film people writing there. They'd talk about Lillian Gish. Okay, that's a bit camp. But
Yeah. Who was the actors? There was two
Rock
actors.
Hudson?
Rock Hudson.
yeah.
There was,
Dirk Bogarde.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
Anthony Perkins. A lot of actors that were either suspected or known to be gay, they would show up in stills and imagery. There's one great picture of Dirk Bogarde and Rock Hudson in an image together, and I think they're reading films and filming. And the suggestion is, men like these read films and filming.
fun.
Okay.
But it's left as a suggestion. It's
Yeah.
not sort of saying, look at these gay guys.
Yeah.
But then the personals are amazing because there's lots of... So the film marketplace section would have ads from bachelors seeking other bachelors.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna ask him about the original Grindr.
Yeah.
It's true. That's how I read it. I wasn't sure if it was, so they do.
Yeah.
So how
So
does
it's like
that work?
sections in the magazine where it's like
At the back, small ads at the back, just little personal. Sometimes they'd be saying, I'm selling film memorabilia, but a lot of them were also personal ads, like Bachelor seeks same, interested in swimming, fitness, opera, physique, send pictures.
And then you'd call them and be like, I'm interested.
Well, you wouldn't have the number. You'd have like a reference, a box reference you could send in.
Oh, wow.
The OG Grindr.
It is.
Yeah.
Swipe right.
But I mean, these weren't the first male same-sex personal ads. I mean,
they're not?
No. There's a famous case in the 1920s of a magazine called The Link, where men were writing to each other all across Britain and Ireland, and several were arrested because the letters were found.
Oh.
It was a big case. Yeah. So, and I mean, during the discussions, the testimony to the Wolfenden Committee in the 50s. The Wolfenden Report is what originally proposed partial decriminalization. So it met between 54 and 57. There's testimony there where they talk about the misuse of personal ads in some newspapers for men to seek other men, and they listed, I think, a couple like prominent dailies, and then said something like, even the Church Times.
Not the Church Times.
No, but gay Christians need love too.
That reminds me of the newspaper article thing in the other episode where it was like pastor that claims that natural disasters are because of homosexuals and whatever, gets his house destroyed by a natural disaster.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, ha.
But the personal ads are amazing because you can see what kind of language people use at different points. So Bachelor was still safe but
else
coded.
was there?
Others talk about being versatile, which I don't think it means what you're thinking.
Okay.
Straight away.
Is that, oh my God. He's very...
I think they were understanding versatile more so in a way that might not be sexually fluid or bisexual.
Why? Why do you think that?
Because Eric Partridge told me so.
Oh, okay.
Because I looked at the Dictionary of Slang and Unconventional English,
Right.
and I believe that's where it was saying.
That's interesting.
There was a period in which versatile could be understood as more as bisexual. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, there's lots there. They're saying interested in, there's people from the military that are saying there's one, there's several where it says ex-matelot, so a kind of sailor looking for others. People that are looking for things that are a bit more kinky as well. There's always things like young man, this age seeks employment, willing to consider anything, this kind of thing. So there's slightly, it looks a little bit like sex work ads showing up that kind of come and go. Duos looking for any kind of remuneration.
Oh, it sounds like your CV then.
So yeah, it was. I mean, it's really an amazing resource. And the magazine, we know definitively, because we know the people who published it were gay, and we know that was their intent. So this is where, when I'm giving talks, I say, okay, up until the Second World War, I'm saying, trust me, I'm an historian. After that, I'm saying, trust my sources who told me this. And people who knew these people said, absolutely, of course, this is the case. So, I mean, then we start thinking at that point about very clear gay or homosexual or queer entrepreneurs. This was a gay-owned business in the 50s that ran, from 54 until the publisher killed himself later on. But it ran for decades until his death.
So how much of this do you think feeds into modern day?
I'm not sure that magazines like Men's Fitness or Men's Health necessarily look back to Films and Filming to say, look what we can do. But I think it shows us how those strategies have evolved over time, and show us that this isn't something that's very, very recent. It actually has a much longer history. So all of these elements of queer history are not just a recent phenomenon. Queer history didn't start at Stonewall. It goes much further back. And there's more sources that I could deal with in a lifetime.
Yeah. It's more like an interesting thing of like this potentially could even just be, it was targeted subtly at the gay community, gay men, but also because it was part of the normal consumerist vibes of magazines that maybe hetero men got used to that kind of marketing, and that was then passed down generationally, and then it evolved into men were comfortable looking at men's health in like an almost unconscious way of finding it attractive, but for themselves, as opposed to like wanting to get with it.